The high-speed stuff puts the ZR2's main party trick on display: Multimatic-developed, specialized Dynamic Suspensions Spool Valve (DSSV) shocks. The spool valve's theoretical simplicity belies the complicated knowledge of fluid dynamics necessary to understand its intricacies. The short version is that oil is forced, progressively, through an irregularly shaped orifice. As the smaller end of the port is exposed, fluid pressure is high. As the rest of the port is exposed, pressure is reduced. Changing the shape of the orifice changes the damping curve. Since the ZR2 has a total of 3 spool valves, one for compression, one for rebound, and a third one that helps control damping during large compression events, there's a massive degree of customization of the damping curve throughout the stroke of the piston. Why didn't Chevy turn to a technology like Magnaride? As Multimatic senior product engineer David Meyer explained to me, the response rate of the magnetar rheological fluid is quick enough over the small travel ranges of a road-going shock. But adapting the technology to a very long travel application like the ZR2 would involve a ton of fluid, think huge external reservoirs, and tons of heat, and the Magnaride system is sensitive to heat. Basically, it's unworkable for this application. Cool, so the DSSV shocks are an engineer's fantasy, but what are they like on the road? If you were imagining Raptor-like trophy truck float, the relative firmness of the ZR2's DSSV shocks will be a surprise. It's much more like the normal Colorado, perhaps a tad stiffer and 2 inches taller than a Z71. So it handles a winding 2-lane highway in some far-flung canyon Colorado, just fine. For a truck. It's no sports car, but it's enjoyable to hustle if you'd like to or need to. There's a noticeable softening when the suspension compresses beyond the point at which it picks up the third spool valve, which Multimatic calls position-sensitive damping, so it'll absorb a pothole on pavement mid-turn without being overly harsh or bouncing the truck off its line. Chevy and Multimatic weren't talking replacement cost yet, but reps from both outfits assured me that the DSSV shocks have to pass the same tests as standard shocks. They insinuated the spool valve units would last about as long as any OEM shock, and they certainly stress-tested the units a lot, so time will tell. While the shocks are the headliner for anyone interested in this truck's capabilities, Chevy's also used the exterior of the ZR2 to communicate this truck's intentions. The hood scoop is aggressive and attractive, for starters. Up front, the deeply cut-away front bumper reveals a lot of tread from a head-on view. Thick aluminum skid plates curl up from underneath and run into the lower front fascia, and to either side there are functional recovery points bolted to the frame. As capable as the ZR2 proved to be, this won't be the only time you'll read about a place for the aftermarket to step in and provide a solution. The only question is if it will, and how many options there will be. The Colorado isn't exactly as popular with the rock-crawling or overland crowd as the Wrangler or Tacoma. For things like the unprotected plastic fuel tank, though, surely folks will want a little extra reassurance, even if Chevy's extensive testing didn't reveal any issues with it being damaged. It looks more exposed than it is, but try telling a nervous owner that. Along the sides of the truck, though, no complaints. Chevy bolts standard, beefy, wonderfully integrated rock sliders onto every ZR2. These things are legit, you can use them as recovery points, since they're bolted to reinforcing plates to spread the load along the rocker. Many aftermarket rock sliders have to be welded to the frame. The mounting points are the same as the regular Colorado's rocker steps. If Chevy's smart, it'll offer the ZR2 sliders as a Chevy performance accessory to owners of other Colorados as an aftermarket accessory.